smart as he usually is.
Brown drives, layup off the glass.
That's not the first time we've seen a superstar in green and white sacrifice the body.
Kornet knocked away.
Welcome into another episode of First to the Floor. My name is Ben Vallis. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. The Celtics, under some spicy circumstances, have advanced to the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. We're going to break it all down along with some other trending topics, Celtics-wise. Alongside me, Wayne Spooney. Spooney, how's it going, man?
In-season tournament, it's magic, baby.
Let's
go. Yeah. That was a fun night, dude. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Dude,
absolutely.
I was freaking yelling at my TV. I'm like, Tatum, enough with these turnovers. Like it felt like
Up
the
25.
fourth. Yeah. It felt like the fourth quarter all over again. It was like we're pissing away our 39-point lead, dude. Get in here.
Somebody
Also
get
with
Pritchard
us.
in.
Yeah.
Jake Eisenberg, also here. Dropped the guard a little bit there. How are you, Jake?
Yeah. Mate.
Too excited.
I was so hyped up for, I don't know why or what, but at the IST, the marketing got me. I'm just a poor little sheep, and all of their little tricks worked on my little smooth brain, and I'm obsessed with the IST now. Let's go.
Absolutely. It took this stage, right, where when multiple things needed to matter, including, as I run the clip here, Royce O'Neal's three-point explosion at the end of this game. Like I was angst watching the end of this game, just thinking it's not going to happen. We can't rely on the Nets. We've never been able to rely on the Nets other than gifting us the picks that got us the Jays. And then Royce O'Neal just goes fucking crazy and just wins the game on his own. And suddenly, like, we advance to the quarterfinals. Amazing. That's the in-season tournament. So good.
I know. The game ends. I flip to the Nets game and I see Spencer Dinwiddie running pick and roll, and I'm like, I had flashbacks back to the first round of the Sixers Nets series where he was just so destructive where they couldn't win a single game. I'm like, God damn it, my fate is in the hands of Spencer Dinwiddie all over again. But then
came through.
It was all
It
good.
was perfect timing because right when the Celtics game end, I'm sure you did the same thing. You flipped to the Nets game, and it's Dinwiddie with like 6 seconds on the shot clock at the crossing over at the top of the key. I'm like, oh shit, this is not going to go well. Yeah.
Thankfully, the Raptors are also bad.
If we win the NBA Cup, as we'll call it, we'll have to give Dinwiddie an honorary sip of beer out of the cup in Vegas. So hopefully we can get him on the team playing there for that one. So the Celtics, they won this game like within a vacuum, just a good old-fashioned blowout of the Chicago Bulls there, who looked very dreary, particularly Zach LaVine, 124-97, a 27-point deficit for those math nerds at home. We mentioned the Nets, they beat the Raptors by 12, and so the Celtics, they advance. They win Group C and advance to the quarterfinals in Indiana, which we'll get to. But Spoonie, just looking at this game in a vacuum, what were your main takeaways from the Celtics blowout of the Bulls?
Yeah, so like you know how sort of the doomer inclined fans of the Celtics talk about the Celtics offense, like it's just isolations, nobody passes, they just jack up bad shots. That is actually how the Bulls play. Like, dude, I mean, it was like shocking how disconnected that team looked on the offensive end until LaVine went out. And then they'd get like DeSumo and Javon Carter in, and things would. They're like, oh, they're not good. They lack a lot of talent, but at least they're kind of playing actual basketball right now. But I just this was a performance I think we all kind of needed on both ends. Like I didn't love how they opened the game, but they were taking bad threes, but they were going in, and it's like that gained them confidence. And then like for 42, the rest of the game, well, the last 42 minutes, like the ball was popping, they were running their sets, everything looked great. And the defense, man, we've been talking about how the defense has been great even when the offense has been struggling. This may be their best defensive performance of the season. I mean, they were just so crisp. It's up there, man. It was really, really good. And the Bulls suck.
I was going to say,
they do suck.
the defense and the offense looked really good when they were playing the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah.
Man, like my brain hasn't quite wrapped around how bad the Bulls actually are, because they've been one of the teams that's really played the Celtics tough for the entirety of this DeRozan and LaVine era. Like, DeSumo didn't miss a shot against the Celtics in his entire rookie season, it felt like. And so, like, DeRozan, I was confident was going to come in and knock down all these mid-ranges, but they don't even have the ability to stay in these games, it doesn't feel like. Like, they have dropped not only past the play-in kind of tier, they are well into the Pistons Wizards tier now. Like Levine ending this game, was it 2 points? It's 2 points.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
like only taking 9 shots. That's a really bad sign. Just a terrible audition for himself. If he wants to get himself out of there, for him to like not turn up. Hey, it's IST night. People have their eyes on this Celtics game, and you're just going to let them walk over you while they get this 23-point advantage. But yeah, the Celtics defense, getting our boy Jrue back and straight back into it, that was nice to see. Like the stock exchange, like that duo of Derek and Jrue flying around. That's probably why like Zach LaVine was like, you know what? This is not the night for me.
No, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, I'm taking this one off. A fresh Jrue Holiday is not someone I want to be dealing with today.
Yeah, I don't even like my job under normal circumstances, and now I'm going up against the stock exchange. Now my life really sucks. But yeah, the look of like the dreariness, the I don't want to be here, like head down, walking around, like staring at your feet. It's like one of the worst all-time looks for an NBA player, particularly like an all-star-ish player. Contrast that to someone in those same circumstances who still rocks up professionally, plays professionally, empowers their teammates, does all the right things until the front office does the right thing by them. Like that is conversely like the ultimate look of professionalism, and just a complete mirror of that from Zach LaVine. Someone who maybe did exhibit some professionalism in this game and has been lately, with the exception of the Orlando game. So let's say 3 of the last 4 games. Jaylen Brown. Listen to the Bill Simmons podcast, listen to the Zach Lowe podcast, listen to the First of the Floor podcast. Absolutely. Clearly, I'm a huge fan, and has completely turned his life around. He's turned my life around, Spoonie, in the way that he's playing now. What are you seeing from Jaylen Brown lately?
Yeah, so even including that Orlando game, the second half was really a disaster for him. He was just kind of okay in the first half. But
Everyone, though.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't a Jaylen problem. That was a team problem. So the last 4 games, what I've noticed is Jaylen is averaging 4.8 assists per game, and his assist to pass percentage is the same, right? So every time he passes it, there's like a percentage chance he gets an assist. That hasn't changed. So what it means is he's passing more, which is awesome and exactly what we've wanted out of him. So he's up to 10 potential assists in these last 4 from 6.9 for the season. 14 assist points created, up from 9.8, and the best stat, 2.3 turnovers. So he's over 2-to-1 assist turnover ratio in the last 4 games,
Finally.
including that
Hallelujah!
It took 7 years. 7 years. It took.
I just think he's starting. I think we've been talking about it a lot. Jaylen's had the biggest adjustment period with all the addition of talent with Jrue and KP coming in. My one concern is, well, he's doing it without KP. Is that related or something? But I don't think so. Him and KP have that great chemistry. I think he's just finally understanding where his spots are on this team, where within the flow of the offense he should be getting the ball, taking shots. And I think he's just been more willing to pass the ball. Like he had one play, I think in the second quarter, he like posted somebody up, he hop stepped, and I was like, oh, here comes a tough contested mid-range jumper. He just moved it, he just kicked it, and I think it was to Pritchard or Hauser. They buried a 3, and it's like, that's it, Jaylen. Just bottle that up and chug it, buddy, because that is the formula right there. So I love how he's been playing, and I really think if this is the version of Jaylen we're going to get, like this team is going to be, we're going to the finals. We're winning the finals.
We're back. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
One
Fire up
blowout,
the duck
all it
boats.
takes.
Yeah.
Fire up the duck boats.
Play the Hawks and the Bulls, and you're going to feel real good about yourself really quickly.
It's better than any therapy session, though, Jake. Like to just play to sort of mid. I mean, the Hawks were good, and we shut them down. Their offense has been on fire, and we limited them to the lowest scoring total of the year. Better than any therapy sessions. I didn't mean to interrupt you on the Jaylen Brown front. Looks like you're bursting at the seams there.
Oh, no. Well, I think we're all bursting just in general when it comes to Jaylen Brown right
Look
now.
at the thumbnail.
Big Al. But yeah, no, Jaylen, it reminds me of the stretch post All-Star break last year where, there was that Rockets game and interestingly, it's coinciding again with Tatum kind of sleepwalking and his turnovers going up and him kind of like not looking super locked in, and Jaylen's like really raising his level here. across the board. And the most important part is just the making the right play thing. The assist numbers are better, but it really is just, I swear, just a little bit of a mentality shift of just like, I just need to look a little bit for the pass. And I think he said that in the post game the other day. It's like, I got to balance, making good passes and being myself, being like what's gotten me to this level in the NBA has been my aggression. And like, absolutely, like how many years did we sit here and be like, yes, aggressive Jaylen. We love aggressive Jaylen, like getting downhill and attacking the rim. Like we obviously still want that because that is who Jaylen Brown is and what makes Jaylen Brown. But just like the mentality of just making the right play and just keeping his head up a little bit. It's just because teams are helping off everybody else. One, because he has such incredible scoring gravity, but two, the scouting report is kind of out, and that like if you crash down on Jaylen Brown, you're going to get turnovers, and he's going to struggle to make simple passes. And if he surveys the floor just for half a second before he attacks, and so he at least has some idea of where some other guys are, and then you surround him with guys that are flashing into open places. Like, I mean, Al Horford we're going to get to, but guys are making themselves available, like Derek and Jrue. I loved the game from Jrue, the glue guy kind of game, filling in the gaps. And like, if everybody's able to understand where Jaylen's going, I think that's part of it too. Is it that the rest of the team is understanding where Jaylen is able to find them, and sometimes like he raises for those mid ranges or those like around the basket shots, and it's contested, and guys are cutting along the baseline, and he's able to find them down there. It's just It's a global effort to improve Jaylen's playmaking, which just improves everything else.
Yeah, I think Jaylen might be legitimately a good cutter. I think last year when they were doing all those backdoor cut plays with Marcus, I was like, it's all Marcus. He's the maestro. He's the orchestrator. He's like using his eyes to set up Jaylen, and yet it's continued in lieu of Marcus Smart. So Jaylen he understands like his role in that play, and he's setting up like not famously good passes like Kristaps Porzingis in setting him up in those backdoor cut plays as well. So that's really good to see. The other thing, this is an advanced stat that I haven't been able to find anywhere, is Celtics fan pants shittings per dribble into a double team or trap. So Jaylen Brown, last 4 games, if I could just attempt to quantify this, has been like getting himself caught up in double teams. Like defenses have been swarming him, particularly when Tatum's on the bench. And you kind of mentioned it, Jake, like he's heads up. He's making good decisions. He's, picking up his dribble if he needs to. He's getting rid of the ball. Often he'll recognize the trap, and dare I say it, a teammate will cut into open space and he'll find them for an assist, or at least a potential assist. Like, who is this guy? Like that, this never happened before. This wasn't on the roadmap, and suddenly out of nowhere, he's doing it after scaring us just earlier this season. And suddenly he's like a completely different guy on that sense. That said, we've had these blips throughout the last 7 seasons of Jaylen Brown's existence on the Celtics where it's like, oh wow, he might be better than Jason Tatum. Wow, like he's incredible. Like is he going to make an All-NBA first team? Is he going to make the All-Star team, which he has? But we've had these high hopes for Jaylen before, and then he's inevitably let us down in the long term, in times that matter more, like the playoffs against the Heat, for example. Does this feel different to you guys at all? I know it's a crazy small sample size. I want to believe that this is a different approach from Jaylen Brown.
You go, Sweetie.
Okay.
Don't let me down.
Don't let me down.
This isn't the first 4-game stretch of his career where he's averaged 5 assists, right? Like, that's not insane. But I think the flashes have been there. Like, I think he had an 11 assist game earlier this season. And it just seems to me like that version of Jaylen was always combined with like, he's also absurdly hot from 3 and he's just like feeling it, period, no matter what. And he's just very hot and cold in that manner. But this, he's 3 of 8 last night from 3, which is fine. That's great. We'll take that all night. But it's not like absolutely flaming hot Jaylen. He's totally unstoppable. And he's also finding guys with passes. This was like this felt more repeatable of a performance than some of his hot streaks earlier in his career. And I'm with you, Jake. It's a mindset thing for me. Like he's averaging 6 more passes a game in these last 4 games too. And it's just like a commitment to moving the ball doing things quicker and being more active off ball too. And you said it with the backdoor cuts and coming off screens harder. And I feel like he's doing that. And look, until he does it for a season, I'm probably never gonna believe it's real. But I do think there are some things that you could lean on to say, like, this isn't just an aberration. Boom. Yes, Eric.
Okay, so yeah, we're going to get to that in a second. So we got to see it consistently against good defenses, I think, for us to really is it a real thing? Because absolutely, you don't want to take it away from him that he did it against the Bulls and the Hawks. Like, you still have to do it against those teams, but better defense against Philly coming up. I think for Jaylen, it's like because look, inevitably he's going to just be off with some of the reads on certain nights. Teams are going to kind of get ahead of him. It's like, can he just not force it and do the other things and not be destructive? Where it's like, okay, I'm just going to make this really simple play. Just swing it to the wing and then cut. And yes, to your point, Eric Weiss in the chat, Jaylen dunking more than he has in years. I looked this up yesterday. So this year, 17 games, he has 22 dunks. That's 1.29 dunks per game. Versus last season, 67 games, 64 dunks, 0.96 dunks per game. And I have just some great dunks. Like, I got some of my favorites from the season here.
Yes, please.
Just to talk about some Jaylen dunks. I mean, crosses Trey Young
Boom.
up, poster on Capella. Our boy Porzingis, backdoor cut versus the Bucks. Windmill, no chance for Middleton. Our backdoor cut versus the Knicks, two-hand tomahawk. Everyone's finding him on these cuts. Just Cooks, Towns, monstrous poster on Gobert. Like, it doesn't stop. Oh, and then some J-to-J crime on the trampoline, dude. He's just getting up this year. And then yesterday, fakes the handoff. Zach LaVine wants no part of this. And then Nembhard and Miles Turner trying to deal with the handoff game with Porzingis. No chance. It doesn't stop. And then, DiVincenzo breaks his ankle on the ground in the Garden against the Knicks.
There's more.
And first play of the game versus the
like
Bucks.
a movie.
Cooks Giannis off the dribble, and then first play of the game for 2. He's I don't know like what's gotten into him dunking wise, but he's just murdering everybody so far.
Well, he's been banged up the last few years. Like, maybe he's finally, like, totally healthy, too. And real quick, sorry, Ben, not to cut you off. He didn't have an 11-assist game earlier this year. I don't know. Yeah. So
we could dream.
That unicorn dust that Mary in the chat said, or unicorn magic. But sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
Well, I'm just getting to some comments here. Will be free in the chat. Best Celtics dunker since Ricky Davis.
Ooh,
fair?
Legend.
Probably. Yeah.
Sam Hauser.
I mean, yeah, it's close. It's definitely close. Yeah, man. Actually, though, this has become something that he's really good at, and he developed the chemistry with Marcus. But now everybody else, kind of like Derek and Al and Jrue, everyone else can make this pass, right? And it's kind of ironic because if I'm a defense, I'd much rather Jaylen get the ball kind of coming off the handoff and kind of go under a screen as opposed to overplaying it and then letting him get this like a free 0 dribble attempt at the rim. But teams are scared of his ability to do everything. And so he's actually really smart with feeling when the defenses are overplaying him. And if they're underplaying him, then he takes the handoff and then he gets downhill coming over the screen. Like, I think he deserves a lot of credit for developing this skill, which is not something that he had 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And just the wide openness of his dunks. Like, he's had a couple of, he's caught some bodies, Rudy Gobert most notably, but like to be in that position to have, whether it's a wide open layup or a wide open dunk, like that's the most sought after shot outside of maybe a wide open corner 3 in the NBA. And he continues to get himself into that position, which can't be said for most NBA players, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, Al Horford, moving on, and we are going to get to the in-season tournament at a macro level and, why this game was so fun and looking forward to the knockout stages here. But Al Horford and the bench, but Horford in particular, what if I told you guys that our 37-year-old backup center would have his second best defensive season of his career, according to Defensive Box Plus Minus, ever, coming off the bench, 37 years old. I don't know what else to throw in there. It's amazing. And then like the 3 is going down. He's playmaking. He's the ultimate luxury when it comes to filling in for Kristaps Porzingis Spoonie. It's just, I don't know. Like, let's just gush over Al for 5 minutes if we might.
Gladly. So I just think like last year, especially near the end of the year, it felt like he had lost a step on the perimeter, and I think that is probably true. But I think that he has now had enough time to like understand, okay, I'm not that guy anymore, so I have to defend these quick guards a little bit different. I have to give them a little more space and just use positioning and smarts. And you saw it with that Trae Young block where he just like I think you tweeted, Ben, he literally sunned Trae Young because he blocked it to his son. He's not like up in it, like completely in his airspace. He's almost like hurting him. Just like, no, come back to help towards the middle. Yep, no, you're coming this way. I'm there. And then when Trae goes up for the layup, he just pounces on it because he's still got great vertical lift for 37, and he's long as hell. So it's like he kind of had a down season last year as he got older, and now he's so smart and such a good basketball player. He's adjusted to his oldness, and it's turned back into a strength. It's like, it's crazy.
He's wise.
Yeah.
I made the comparison last episode to LeBron as well, but LeBron went through the same transformation as well.
Yeah.
In just understanding, okay, my body has changed in these ways. How can I still use some of the best basketball IQ that's ever existed and just transform my game? And that's turned into LeBron in the post, and just like really being able to pick his spots. And I think that's a really great take, Spoonie, is that he's really just figured out, okay, my body is not quite able to do what it was in that 21-22 season where he was like the switch heaviest big in the league. It's like I can't quite defend how I was that year, but now I know how to get these guys to take certain contests. Yeah, I mean, especially once you add in his ability to hypnotize people with his eyes while guarding on the perimeter. But no, like he has been on an absolute heater, and it coincided, I think, with the Philly game that both Jaylen and Porzingis missed, but the Celtics won, and that was the game where Horford had like 15 rebounds, 6 assists. He had that block on Maxey at the rim, which led to the Derek White dagger 3 on the other end. Last 7 games, 8.7 points, 7.3 rebounds, 3.7 assists, 0.5 steals, 1 block on 53, 42, 100 splits, while also like 0.7 turnovers. It's
beautiful.
The 3 balls up to 35% from 3 on the year, and that's all we need. But I'm very interested to see where the 3 ball ends up, right? Because last year he was at a ridiculous level in that 44% range. I don't know for sure it gets quite up there, but last 7 games he's back, into that range again, and he's getting the cleaner looks. Earlier in the season when he was adjusting to his role, I was like, I don't feel like I'm worried about his ability to shoot still. He's just not getting clean looks. People just aren't finding him early enough in the right spots. They're really contested, and now he's getting clean looks, and now he's starting to knock down the contested ones off the back of finding his rhythm and being the level of shooter that he was last year, where because he's getting smaller guys matched up on him at times on the perimeters, late shot clock, and he's still able to shoot over the top of them. You get a little pump fake going. He had the back down yesterday on a small defender into the lane, fade away. I mean, it's kind of incredible he's able to do this.
He looks really confident. Remember, was it a year or two ago we played the Warriors in Boston, and like we hadn't seen much from Al for a little pocket there, and then we came up against the Warriors. I guess it was after we lost them in the finals, and he was playing like a 25-year-old. He was just springy, and he was everywhere. And in this last stretch, he's kind of looked a lot like that. And he's so confident. I wonder if reconciling with his oldness and just kind of having to figure out a reapproach to the game is a part of that, because first of all, like his 3-point shooting going up to 35% on the season is wild, given I think he had like an 0 of 7 game. Yeah. He's had some really poor shooting to start the year. For it to climb up to that level is really impressive. But then, to start shooting them over, contests and make them at a regular clip is great. And then just like the defensive end, everything that he does to help the team that doesn't necessarily show up on the box score. And then the vibes. Like he's a top 3 vibesman on the team, and that definitely like cascades down to the other guys. We've talked about the eyes and how if Al's playing a drop and you're a ball handler, you come over a screen and it's just like Al's eyes there twinkling and waiting for you. Like, how could you possibly do anything from that point onwards? You'd be frozen on the spot.
I mean, it's kind of like the beautiful version of the basilisk from Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Yes.
You can't look directly into his eyes, otherwise you're going to be frozen, but just with beauty as opposed to terror this time.
Yeah, it's literally stunning. You are stunned in that moment. We've talked about continuity with the team and how that sort of experienced the drop-off to begin the season given the changeover in the offseason. But Al and Jason Tatum do have continuity, and they do have some nice tandem playmaking. Not a lot. Like, you wouldn't necessarily look up their two-man game at a high volume, but they do have some really smooth moments together where you're like, oh, that's right, these guys have been playing together since Tatum's rookie year, minus 1.5 years there for Al, and no wonder they know each other so well. Jason Tatum, though, 21, 7-4 in this game. It felt like actually a good game for Tatum in terms of, like, he picked his spots, he didn't over-assert himself anywhere, and he was just the backbone of the team, it felt, in terms of like just being a defensive anchor and setting up guys to score and not being too selfish and trying to get his. And, the end result was that we won the game by as many points as we needed to. Jake, are you happy with Tatum's performance in this game? Obviously, Magic game, not so good, but, since then, he's kind of turned things back around again.
He had a good game against the Hawks. I don't know. I feel like he's being so careless at the moment with the turnovers. At the moment, he has 4 yesterday. His turnovers are up on the season, especially lately. The turnovers have been up. I don't know. I honestly, and this is all relative because of how good he is now. I actually don't think he's played that well as a whole now for the season relative to what I know he's capable of. Like, he should. The turnovers. He shouldn't be having 3 turnovers a game. Like, how many turnovers is he even averaging at this point? I think it's like 3.4, which is
I was gonna say 3.5. Yeah,
which is not
it's right around
like last year it was 2.9. It's got to be below 3. I think it was 2.4 in the playoffs last season, and I don't know. I feel like you can just tell with Tatum, like the version of him that is like surefire first team All NBA, the version of Tatum that comes to mind where in the Brooklyn Nets series where he's the defense, I would say, has been really good though. Like, I would say offensively has been it's just a little careless and not quite as purposeful and decisive as I'd like him to be. Like, he's not, when he's getting the ball, he's doing a little bit too much dancing. We're getting flashes of him being incredible, and like, again, he's averaging like 27.7 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Like, he's a career high in true shooting. I had a look the other day. His field goal percentage is actually the highest it's been in his career. So, like, true shooting is obviously going to be higher at this point relative to earlier because of how many threes and how many free throws he's taking, more and more free throws. But field goal percentage, his highest previously coming to this year was 47.5. His rookie season, because he was just like a 3-and-D guy, catch and shoot, he was 43% from 3. And it's been like much lower since then. For him to have his highest field goal percentage, I think speaks to what we've talked about in the post. And that's probably the most important development, is that like that's become a real part of his game now. So like when he does get into the flow of things, like, you know how we would always deal with Tatum at the beginning of the season? It's like, what's wrong with Tatum? This is the version of, to me, of what's wrong with Tatum. It's just he's gotten so good now that the what's wrong with Tatum is like still an all NBA guy, and which is, I think, almost a good thing, because when we're going to have a stretch sometime soon where he's going to go supernova again, and we're going to be like, oh, right, this is what we're talking about.
I think he's coasting. I really do.
Big time.
I think he's just like, look, I got so much talent on this team. Like, if they really need me, I can't. Was it the Philly game?
Yes, it was.
One game, when he just like dominated in the fourth quarter. It might have been a Knicks game too, where he's just like, all right, time for me to take this over and win this game for us. Like, I think since those flashes are there, it's like he can just decide when he wants to take a game over. With, once in a while he won't be able to do it, but for the most part, I think this is kind of intentional on his part to just like, let's let the team kind of gel, gain some chemistry around me, because I know if I want the ball, I'm going to get the ball in my spots, and that, Joe will make sure I get the ball in my spots. So let's get these other guys comfortable as they're joining the team, because when he wants to turn it up defensively, I think he's one of the very best defensive players in the league. But like, that Magic game was pathetic, dude. Like, he was not playing defense in that game. Like, you could tell he's like, I'm not banging with Paulo for 48 minutes. Like, I'm just not doing it tonight. Yeah. And like, this German dude's huge. Like, I don't got it in me tonight. So I think he's 100% coasting, and the turnovers are just pissing me off, man. Like, he had one pass where he just like slung, it was like a pick and roll. And he was hitting Al on the short roll, and he just kind of like slung it over his head, and it just like went right to a bull. It's like, dude, come on, man. Like, you just got to be better than that. There's no need for it. But
he did have that sick pass to Banton though, in like that pick and roll. He like kind of spun it around that defender. Like, that's the thing. He's still been so good. It's just, I know, levels here.
He had a great pocket pass to Derek White as well.
Yeah,
which is just an insane like needle thread. So you know who else averages a high amount of turnovers in this league? Nikola Jokic, because there's so much required of him. Yes, and I will make this comparison offensively as a creator that occasionally he needs to put himself in high risk playmaking scenarios, and I think Jason Tatum is maybe experimenting a little bit or feeling out what's possible, both individually from his own, playmaking potential, but as far as like what his teammates are capable of and him setting them up in certain situations as well. And yes, like some of the turnovers are just dumb, like you mentioned, like that dumb hook pass one. And this just says more about me as a fan. Like I almost don't count them, because it's just like, oh, that was dumb. That's not you being you. That's just you trying to figure shit out. And I won't hold that against you. But
it's true. He's never thrown a dumb turnover in the playoffs before.
Suffice to say, elite players who have a lot asked of them as far as, whether it's just getting the ball, drawing to and making a play, which is often the case with Tatum, or just generally being a playmaker that is required to set up their teammates for success, they are naturally going to have a high turnover rate because of the usage that is demanded of them, I suppose. So, call me a Tatum apologist. Could he be better? Yes, absolutely. But there are other elite players in the league who are suffering from exactly the same ailment.
Well, let me tell you, Ben. Jason Tatum, 3.2 turnovers per game. Nikola Jokic, 3.2 turnovers per game.
I may have verified that before that very remark.
There's no other statistical differences, that's for sure.
There is a championship disparity, unfortunately, as my Nuggets friend Dice will tell me on a daily basis via text message.
I mean, it's a testament to how friggin' good Tatum is that we can sit here and be like, we don't think he's taking it 100% serious, and the way he's getting defended, and he's still able to put up the numbers he's putting up. Like just look at when he catches the ball on the wing, what the defense does, dude. They just there's like 5 guys on his side the second he's got the ball, and the fact that he can like half coast his way to 21-7-4 in a 30-point blowout, it's like, this dude he's really good, man. Like, he's a superstar.
It's how I approach my job. I just tell my own player, just call me Jason Tatum. Just call me the MVP.
Look, when it's important, when you really need me, I'll be there.
I'm coming.
I'll pull through.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
otherwise,
we are going to get
working from home.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
right. Maybe both.
Yeah,
still be effective from home.
Yeah, game 6 of the Philly game. Look, first 3 quarters of the week, you're going to want more from me. But that Thursday afternoon, Friday morning, no one's ever worked harder in that little period right there.
Yeah. Now, we are going to get to a word from our sponsor, FanDuel, but I just wanted to take a break to say, first of all, thank you for everyone joining us in the live stream here. We've got a nice little cohort across the 3 channels that we're streaming on. Just want to say, if you're watching on the First of the Floor YouTube channel, head over to CLNS and subscribe to them. They're pumping out so much amazing Celtics content on a regular basis. But similarly, if you're watching on the CLNS channels, pop over to First of the Floor. Obviously, we've got live podcasts every few days. We've got clips and shorts and reels and all kinds of things going out on our channel. We're very close to 2.5k subs on our channel, and the goal is obviously 3,000, hopefully by much sooner than the end of the regular season. So a bit of a call to action. We find that these have worked lately. Get in there, subscribe, and also like and comment and engage, because the YouTube algorithm is complicated. We don't quite understand it. We're sort of having a conversation, albeit about the Twitter algorithm earlier today, but we have no understanding of these things. But we do know that liking and subscribing and engaging is very helpful. So I don't know, anything to add there, guys?
Mate, get in there. Look, we love doing this. We love hanging out with everybody in the chat. So just, help us, help you. We're all friends here. And then while the ad read is going on, just get over there and like, and then we'll give you a bet that's definitely going to hit.
Yes, definitely.
All right, let's run that ad reel now.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Now, I'm 1 for 1 on my bets, so I don't want to go again. You guys got anything?
I'm saying I haven't been keeping track. I'm assuming it's going really well. But I've got Nuggets, Rockets. Oh, it's the end of the first quarter right now. I was going to say it's -10. Live bet Nuggets -10 against the Rockets. Rockets on a back-to-back. Jamal Murray is back. Jokic doing his thing. Or just take the Kings against the Clippers. I don't care that the Kings played a tough game against the Warriors last night. The Kings are going to run. And the Clippers are so old, and they're going to run them off the court.
Great.
Love it.
There you go.
Yeah, love it. I have been keeping track. I'm 0 for 4, so myself. Yeah.
Gamble responsibly. That's the only disclaimer you need.
It's probably fate. Probably fade Spoonie and I. That'd be probably. Let's be honest.
Look, we've got a few more player details to get to before we get to the in-season tournament, and namely Luke Kornet, who I don't want to spoil these stats for whoever's added them to the run sheet here, but suffice to say they're fucking awesome. And I was taking a look at his cleaning the glass profile, and I think he's leading. He's top 100th percentile in is it at the rim field goal attempts or 2-point field goal attempts or something. So Luke Kornet, elite in certain areas, Spoonie.
Yeah.
This is exactly what the term divorced level research was created for.
Correct, sir. Allow me, as I get my lawyer on retainer. So I'm writing about Luke in 3-Leaf Clover. Should be out on Friday, so check that out. But okay, so I think the first place to start with Luke is we only get 3 points worse per 100 when he plays, which is pretty good because he's replacing actual good players. So we're plus 6.5 net rating with him on the court. So we're crushing teams. That's like a 55 win team pace. Teams shoot 2% worse from the floor when he's on the court. But the big thing is from 0 to 9 feet when defended by Luke Kornet, field goal percentage drops by 12%, which is pretty ridiculous. And that's 11.5% between 0 and 5 feet. So if he's contesting you, you're basically just not making shots. And look, he doesn't get to all the contests that a KP does, but look, he's doing his job. He's being big around the rim. I think the fun stuff is that he is the most efficient shooter in the NBA from less than 5 feet. He leads the NBA in field goal percentage at less than 5 feet at 85.7%. And I think he showed it off last night where he had this. No, they do not pass the eye test, but it's real. Luke's problem is he just doesn't get to enough shots. That's where his weakness is. But when he gets there and is in position, he's very difficult to finish over. He does a really good job of keeping verticality. And I think as a pick and roll finisher, he's really improved. He made a few nice catches recently, and where he's getting the ball right up to the rim, no hesitation at all. And that's a big improvement from 3 weeks ago when he wouldn't even look at the rim, basically, when he touched the ball.
Or catch the ball.
Or catch the ball, yeah. So I think he's really coming along. He's kind of finding his role. He's getting more playing time. That definitely helps. The one massive bugaboo, the Jake Eisenberg trademark, Luke, please get 1 rebound challenge.
Please.
We are
the threshold.
Our defensive rebound percentage gets 7.2% worse when Luke is on the court. So we are by far the worst defensive rebounding team in the NBA when Luke is playing, which does absolutely match the eye test in my opinion. But look, he's a third big. He's going to have weaknesses. If he was good at all this stuff, he would be a starting big and we couldn't afford him.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like, talking about it on Twitter with some people today about trying to upgrade the third big position, it's like, it's a third big. Like, the Sixers' third big is Mo Bamba. Like, Luke Kornet is absolutely serviceable. And, dude, yesterday he rebounded well. He has a couple games here and there where he's like getting mixed up. Definitely you have to play him big minutes in these IST tournaments because Luke Kornet is fighting for his family out there. He wants his 500K bad. And yesterday you could definitely tell. But yeah, dude, it was the first half of, which game was it? I forget which game, but it was the game that Cater played. Was it the Hawks game? Yeah, the game where we got getting killed on the boards. In the first half, the reason he got benched for Cater was, as we were saying, the rebounding. Couldn't grab a rebound. But in the first half, the pick and roll chemistry with Tatum was really good. He gets in the right spot. He gets on the short roll. He's comfortable now, like finishing around the rim, and he makes some nice passes. Like, he makes quick decisions, passes out back to the perimeter, finding Derek White for catch and shoot threes. I'm okay with Luke Kornet absolutely as the third big, just because I think he makes the right decisions. And again, on a team that's this good, your job is easy. It's just rebound. Well, try your best to rebound and roll. And by the way, he's missed one free throw this year. He hasn't taken a lot, but he's like 7 for 8 from the free throw line. He likes to make those free throws, which have been an issue for the Celtics this year.
Yeah, and he has that Bill Cartwright free throw release as well. So for them to go down to that clip is impressive. Yeah, I felt like it was playing like he was about to default on his mortgage. Or it was a response to the Mias Keita performance. Yeah. But I can only imagine like he was in the locker room before the game fielding a call from the bank being like, I'm sorry, Mr. Kornet, but we're going to have to repossess all of your valuables and your home. Immediately he was thinking, hang on a second, I've got an in-season tournament game coming up. Just wait, turn on your TV, go to TNT or NBC Sports Boston, watch the game, and just wait till I come on the court, and you'll see how motivated I am to repay this debt that I owe you, Bank X. And he did that. He did. So hopefully him and his family have a home and all their possessions for a little while longer.
I'm just seeing it in the chat here. Everybody is like so obsessed with the Luke Kornet because Al's old and KP's health thing, which like I understand where we're coming from. Mm-hmm. At some point, you guys are going to have to accept that Al Horford's going to be totally fine in the playoffs. Like he's proven it over and over again. And you only need one of KP or Al to still make a deep run. Look at their Miami Heat last year. Their backup big was Cody Zeller. Like, look at the backup bigs around the league. Like even Bobby Portis can't play like deep into the playoffs. He's been a real issue on this team, on these teams. The Nuggets don't have a real like DeAndre Jordan is their backup big. Yes, he destroyed the Clippers with Reggie Jackson yesterday, but that's a Clippers thing. If Al and Porzingis go down, I don't care who your third big's going to be. It's not going to matter. They actually have like the deepest center position probably in the NBA of a team that like can actually win the title. So it's just not going to change really.
Yeah, and like who can you get that can play in the NBA Finals, right? Like we played Drummond off the court yesterday. Like, and that's probably the level of guy who's good, right? That's the level of guy you probably say is an upgrade that's actually obtainable. And he can't hit free throws. So guess what? He can't play in the playoffs. So I just don't see where the upgrade's coming from. And I'm with you, Jake. I think I'd probably rather target another position if we're going to reinforce the bench with a trade.
Yeah, well, speaking of Andre Drummond, there was Hacker Drummond happening. And as we zoom out to talk about sort of the IST format here, Hacker Drummond up 30-ish, fourth quarter, but still the differential still in question there. And then there were some post-game comments about, didn't think that was necessarily cool, maybe a little disrespectful to the game. I would argue that the basketball gods clearly still hold us in favor because how the fuck else does Royce O'Neal go on that three-point explosion unless the basketball gods are looking down on us with all their glory and mercy. But, that said, it was a little bit of a shift from what we're used to in terms of the ethics of the game, Jake. So how did you feel about the sort of finer points of the IST?
Me, personally, couldn't give two shits about running the score up on your opponent. Like it's a small window for this tournament where point differential matters. And look, Chicago, don't lose by 30. Like you've been given a point differential of 23. You know the deal. There's $500K on the line for some guys that it really matters to, and for anyone. I don't care how rich you are. Like $500K is $500K. People want to go party in Vegas. Like there's like real incentives on the line. Also, these people are competitors. You know, I'm a competitor. I'm screaming in my living room, wanting to get through to the tournament and be part of this thing. Like, I understand there's probably going to be a disconnect between fans and players at first, especially because there's like this code of like not running up the score. And Tatum talked about it after the Magic game. But that always feels like sour grapes, when you're the losing team. But I will say, I give the Celtics credit that Jrue and Jaylen were like, I don't love the idea that we have to run up the score in certain times to get this done. But I do think that there's ways that they can tweak the in-season tournament where we're not so focused on running the score up, where point differential becomes so important, whether that's like, you know, scheduling all the games at the same time so like you can't scoreboard watch quite as much, or there's like an extra game or two.
Yeah, Simmons had a good idea. Make the groups bigger and make them play an extra game, and then there'll be less like 3 teams at 3-1, and there'll just be a bigger differential between their records. But you want to get mad at somebody, Chicago? Get mad at the league for making score, for the score difference to matter. Like that's who you should be mad at. The Celtics were doing what the league incentivized them to do. We had to win by 23 if we want to move on. So we're going to do anything we can to win by 23. And if that's hacking Drummond in the beginning of the fourth quarter in a 29-point game, that's what's going to happen. I did like that Joe went over to Billy Donovan and was like, hey, man, this is why I'm not just being an a-hole. Like, we have a reason I'm doing this. We need to win by 23. Sorry. This is a 7-point game to us.
I did see a good take on Twitter from Trey being like, it's a good thing we have Joe Mazzulla as our coach for the tournament because Brad Stevens wouldn't have the heart to hack a Drummond.
No, yeah. Well, I'll be mad at Andre Drummond as well. And this goes back well beyond the IST. But like, hi, I'm Andre Drummond, professional basketball player. Oh, cool. Yeah. Hey, take this basketball and can you shoot it from this line here? No, I cannot. I can't hit free throws. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're professional.
4 in a row.
You've been playing the game all your life. Yeah, ridiculous. So I think that's where the origins of the madness should be. But it was, against the ethics of the game or whatever. But that's why I say the basketball gods still hold us in favor because the game has changed. And this was within, reason as far as the approach to this game. It was interesting, Joe saying in his post-game presser, which was great, by the way, that he essentially had to sign at least one member of his coaching staff to be like the in-team IST consultant. Right. And like, if we get to a certain threshold, I want you like kneeling down behind me being like, we need 3 points, like, or whatever it is, like to get to a certain point. And it seemed like that was happening. And there was some connection there between the conversation with Billy Donovan and like the little angel on his shoulder, the IST consultant on the coaching staff as well. So cool little wrinkles here with the IST. I love it.
Yeah. And DJ Daniel, great point. Like, for the fans, dude, like you talk about respecting the game, these tickets are so expensive now to come and play. And this game would have been over halfway through the third quarter, really at halftime. And instead, everybody's into it. The crowd was lit, dude. You could feel it through the TV. All game, everybody was into it against one of the worst teams in the league on a random night. Perfect. And everybody gets their money's worth. We got Sam Hauser dunking. Everybody wins. Like the vibes, the energy, the feelings. Everyone's going to live like 12 months longer because of this game tonight.
I'll take the extra 12 months. Well, look,
definitely.
Here's the knockout bracket. So if I try and get rid of that comment there, thank you. So we play the Pacers in Indiana on Monday night, 7:30 p.m. there, December 4th. We've got the Bucks against the Knicks. So if we do win, and Tyrese Halliburton will very likely be back to play against us for the first time this year. If we do win that game, we'll play the winner of the Bucks or the Knicks there. And then we've got the Lakers and the Suns and the Kings and the Pelicans on the other side. So if we win the next 2 games, we're likely to play one of those 4 teams. So just looking at a bracket, really, in November, and that bracket being related to the NBA is like all I really need from this. It's fucking awesome, guys.
Dude, look at these matchups. You've got like Lakers, Suns, and you've got the Bucks are in it. Like big franchises. I mean, you're going to have Zion and the Kings that are up and coming. and like Halliburton and the Pacers have like one of these craziest offenses the league has ever seen. And you're like, okay, and yeah, someone in the chat here, it's like we could easily end up with Lakers Celtics here. It's like that, which as a Celtics fan, I feel fantastic and like I've won the win, and like we might get some good reffing along the way here to make sure that that happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is just unequivocally a success, right? I mean, I kind of, when it first came out, I was like, all right, whatever. You know, it's regular season games. I'm going to care. But, like, the players clearly give a shit. And, like, so, of course, I'm going to give it. Like, if they care just a little bit more, I'm going to care just a little bit more. Like, they were playing hard as hell in the beginning of that fourth quarter. Then they kind of trailed off. And then Pritchard comes in with, like, 6 minutes left. And that dude's flying around like it's Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We're up 30. Like, this is awesome, man. Like, I just don't see what there's not to like about it, really. Because it's just also regular season basketball with a little bit extra kind of fun and craziness mixed in. There's, like, no downside.
Helps that we advanced. Feel a lot better about it.
That too. Oh, I was like, oh, I'm gonna care so much less if the Celtics don't get in.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're in, and like the matchup with the Pacers. Thank God we get to play them in the IST where it actually matters, because that's the team that went up 30 on us last year because we did the whole we don't care thing, which I'm hoping they don't do this time, because that it's actually going to matter, because the Pacers will be up 20 like instantly. So this is a great matchup, especially like in Indy. You know, they're gonna be hyped for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Eric Weiss had a great comment in the chat as well that we should always play with a point differential, because the third quarter nightmares were no more. It was just, okay, like we have no reason to relax. We actually have to keep pushing here, and they did exactly that. So it was nice to just watch a full game end to end, where aside from the first 5 minutes where they were just jacking up threes, already playing like they were down 23, which technically they were, aside from that dodgy start, they always kept the foot down, which is what you want to see. It's not realistically possible, as we've learned as long-term Celtics fans, but it was great to see it within the vacuum of a game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this is a success, and yeah, like, well, the Celtics what we should do is to try and get them to play with the point differential. Someone should tell them that all of us, you know, keyboard warriors, agenda pushers, like the point differential matters for our propaganda. Like if you blow these teams out, as opposed to pissing away these fourth quarter leads, we're able to put together all these awesome graphics. Everyone's going to be talking about you great. Instead, we have to hear about, you know, the concern trolling about the Celtics here and there.
Yeah, Tatum, how am I going to make a net rating argument about you being the MVP if you don't have a crazy net rating?
Yeah, dude.
Blow these guys out.
Stop throwing these dumb turnovers. And DJ Daniel, I can't say that was my idea. I got that from the You Know Ball podcast. The NBA Cup, though, is a much better name than the IST.
Especially if they're drinking beer out of it while they hoist it in Las Vegas there. That would be ideal.
I just had an idea. If we win the tournament, we're going to have to create a replica of the trophy, which does have something to drink beer out of. And then when we all meet in Vegas for Summer League, which everybody in the chat, please come to Vegas for Summer League too, and we'll all drink beer out of the IST trophy, and it's going to be great.
Get your COVID vax before you come. But, yeah, that sounds great. It's an awesome idea. Now, look, we're at 53 minutes. We typically like to wrap up after an hour. We've got two more things to get to before we wrap up here. We'll do this quickly, guys. We wanted to do an around the room on the NBA fear rankings. And folks in the chat, let us know who sits atop or at the bottom of your NBA fear rankings. This is, as a Celtics fan, sort of loosely based. What team concerns you the most? Which team are you happiest to not see anytime soon? Which team are you dreading seeing sometime soon? I'll start. For me, it's an easy one. It's the Orlando Magic. They're 12-5. They have an incredible defense. They have a long-term sort of demonstrated level of effectiveness against the Celtics, as Spoody's cat makes an appearance for all the bingo players at home. I never want to see these guys again, and yet we play them twice in 2 weeks' time, back to back. Am I right in thinking that these guys rightfully sit atop the fear rankings?
I have them in my 2 spot. I can't put them ahead of the Heat.
I thought you were going to go there.
It's Miami every day of the week.
These Floridian teams.
They can't. Yeah, goddamn, dude. Enough. Yeah, screw everything from Florida, Mary Poppins. Couldn't agree more. The Miami Heat, number one. The Black Magic. They've now the draft pick that they've got, Jaime Jaquez Jr. I knew it as soon as he was drafted. He's like probably going to be third in the Rookie of the Year race this year. And Yeah, they're going to be excellent. And then the best way to beat the Celtics is always short circuit their offense. The Heat and the Magic have the best way to do that over the Bucks. Like the Knicks, you could almost even put ahead of the Bucks. I feel like I can't quite go that far. I think I have the Bucks at 3, then Philly, then the Knicks.
So I'm with Jake. I have the Heat number 1. I don't know, man. I think I'm picking between the Magic and Philly at 2 because I think this is a different version of Philly. It's a different version of Tyrese Maxey, and they actually have competent wings now with Batum and Rocco, which is just something they never had. Yeah, and Oubre. That's just something they never had, and obviously the Jays are much better than those guys, but they've never had anybody to throw at the Jays. Now they at least have like-sized defenders they can have match up. So I think I might have, but we also kind of own Philly, so I think I'd go Magic too, but I also think there's a little bit of shooting luck with these Magic. Like last year, the Magic shot way above their head against us, and we shot way below our normal averages against them, and maybe that's partly matchup, but like Banchero can't shoot threes. He doesn't miss against us. There's a kind of some funkiness going on with these Magic games, but they still whip our ass, so at some point that's just real. So let me go. I'd go Heat, Magic, Philly, and then probably Bucks, Knicks. The Knicks don't scare. I've always been lower than everybody on the Knicks, I think.
Sure, it would go 6 though against the Knicks. Like I think we would win, but it would be stressful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Julius Randle just seems way too much of an implosion risk, particularly throughout the course of a playoff series. I know I had his cup of tea there a couple of years ago in the playoffs, but for the most part, I don't trust his productivity in the playoffs. So the Knicks don't scare me that much as like the primal screaming of Tibbs on the sideline, I think is just like, it's pretty imposing and intimidating at home through the TV. I can't imagine what that's like in the arena there, particularly in New York. So yeah, they're definitely in the top 5 of the fear rankings. So I mean, we've got here in our run sheet, so Heat, Bucks, Philly, Magic, Knicks. I think at the very least we're agreeing that they are all within our top 5, and it sounds like Heat, Magic 5 are kind of up there for all of us.
This is very clippable if you're a Bucks Philly person, the fact that we've got the Magic above both Philly and Milwaukee, but that's just understanding how you beat the Celtics is like really you screw their offense up and that's how you beat them. Like if you're the Bucks, I just don't fear you if you can't guard the perimeter. I can't. Like, yeah, I understand the Dame thing and in clutch time they might be better, but if you're down 12 going into every fourth quarter, it's like, I'm not sure how much it's going to matter.
Well, the fear is out there. The fear is strong with these teams. Yeah. And while it's been a good week with the IST advancement and everything, like these guys are lurking in the shadows, particularly the Magic we have to face very, very soon post-IST, whatever happens there. Now, guys, let's wrap it up there, I think. What do you guys think? Anything else you want to add?
So we'll save the random trade stuff for the next episode, which we've got cooking.
Yeah, great. Love it. Well, look, an exciting week coming ahead. We didn't even really talk about the Philly matchup. I mean, they exist within our top 5 fear rankings. That's coming up. We've got some special guests coming up next week, which we'll keep anonymous for now. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot coming up. We've got playback, and Jake's just firing up another playback room as well, which as I'm saying this now, I don't know if I'm even allowed to say this, Jake. So shake your head if I shouldn't.
No, I don't really know either. But yeah, we're going to be doing playback.
We're going to be doing playback.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back very soon with another pod, more live streams, more watch parties. So follow us on Instagram and Twitter for all of that great stuff. If you're subscribed to those channels, you're going to be notified of what's coming up on our schedule. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.